Gravel bikes are a complete waste of time.
And the recent Gravel World Championships made a complete joke out of the entire gravel industry. Now those are clearly not our thoughts, but they are yours. So we're going to see what happens when you compare a gravel bike with gravel tyres
to a road bike with gravel tyres.
Over the last few years, gravel bikes have been compared to every type of bike out there. So we're going to look at the pros and cons of our setups and also the speed that we can ride at.
Not only when you're riding on the road,
but also when blasting your favourite gravel too. But first things first, let's take a look at our setups. And this is what I'm riding. It's what I would describe as your typical gravel bike. We've got a 1x chainring, a super wide range cassette, some fast rolling 40mm gravel tyres, slightly relaxed geometry, wider handlebars. It's a bike set up to be stable, solid and robust when you're riding off-road. And just as everyone has grown to expect from me, yeah, the tyres are set up tubeless. Oh, lovely.
Whereas I'm riding my regular road bike with 0 changes, apart from one. I've swapped out the tyres for these 33mm knobbly boys. Now, the keen-eyed amongst you will recognise that this bike is a Canyon Ultimate, the very bike that was used to win the Gravel World Championships, despite being a road bike. Now, Canyon say that there's actually clearance for 35mm tyres, and with these 33s in, I think they're being pretty conservative. There's bucket loads of clearance. You get a bus through there, so I reckon you could put on some much chunkier tyres than this if you wanted. I feel this offers the best of a road bike's performance, combined with everything that I would need from a gravel bike. And I've not had to shell out the extra money and buy an additional bike, so bonus.
Now, you don't have to be an expert to know that if you ride gravel bike tyres on a road, you're at a significant disadvantage. They're slower.
And according to bicyclerollingresistance.com, a website which Ollie reads before bed literally every night, the tyres fitted on my bike when riding on the road at 29 kilometres an hour with a system mass of 80 kilograms, they generate 25 watts of rolling resistance per tyre.
Whereas mine are worth about 30 watts in rolling resistance per tyre. And for reference, a performance road tyre, that'd be about 12 watts. Now, some of you may be a bit confused as to why my slightly narrower, slightly lighter tyres generate more rolling resistance than Alex's. Well, that's because I've got slightly bigger knobbly bits on my tyres, which generates more friction.
And when we're riding on a flat section of tarmac or gravel, the forces acting to slow us down are mostly air resistance and friction from our tyres and drivetrain. As a rule of thumb, gravity and your system weight only really plays a significant part once you start to ride up sustained climbs greater than 5% in gradient or slower than 16 kilometers per hour. In terms of body position, you could achieve a comparable setup on both a road bike and a gravel bike, but naturally the road bike lends itself to a lower, more stretched out, aggressive position.
Road bikes typically have narrower handlebars as well to help you get in that more aerodynamic position.
But at the sacrifice of stability and control on the rough stuff.
Yeah.
Now, aerodynamically, at lower speeds, there's pretty much minimal difference between a road bike and a gravel bike. However, increase those speeds or perhaps take it into account over a longer period of time, and those differences will start to add up.
Yeah, and another key difference in the geometry is the front centre. So this is to do with the rake of your fork. Now, on a road bike, this is typically less to give you more nimble and agile handling and make the bike a bit snappier. Off-road, you have larger front centre so that you can just be more, well, it just helps when you're on technical off-road sections, particularly at low speed. Now, the way this manifests on my bike, I'm actually getting toe overlap with my front tyre and my foot because I put higher volume, bigger tyres on. Whereas Alex, you can see, has plenty of clearance.
No issues for me.
Yeah.
So if theoretically you can be near comparable in terms of aero on either bike, what does that mean if we ride at 30 kilometers an hour side by side on a flat road? Well, simple maths says that due to the difference in our tyres alone, Ollie will have to do 10 to 15 watts more than me. which might seem like some quite low numbers, but for lots of people, that could be 10 to 15% more effort, which could be the difference between enjoying a group ride or feeling exhausted or just simply not being able to keep up with your friends. But should Ollie and I be using identical tyres, we would ride at nearly identical speeds.
But what if we forget about the road and take the skinny road bike tyres that are fast rolling onto some gravel? Well, you're going to be bumped around a lot and also you're not going to have much grip. But why is that?
In simple terms, our tyres act as suspension, absorbing the bumps from the surface that we ride on. Bigger bumps require a larger volume tyre to absorb them, and that's the reason why we have wider tyres for riding on rougher surfaces, and that's why you have skinny, narrow tyres for the smooth stuff.
Now, using a higher volume tyre will also allow you to run it at lower pressure, meaning it can absorb more of those bumps off-road and be more comfortable. But it also means that you can have more grip and traction. Now, this is crucial because if you ride a fast, smooth, low rolling resistance road tyre off-road, it's not going to grip to the surface very well, meaning that your energy can be wasted, the wheels just spin when you try to ride along, and you don't go as fast. Whereas a knobbly tyre like this is going to hook up to that surface and grip better, giving you more traction and allowing you to ride faster.
But it's not just as simple as finding the most aggressive, grippy, widest tyre you can, because you have to take into account what's going to fit into your road bike frame. Now, in the example you've got here today, you've got plenty of space for these tyres, but these are the exact same tyres that just a week or so ago Hank used on our autumn gravel ride, and he couldn't even fit the rear one in his extra small bike, could he?
No.
So yeah, take that into account.
Something we haven't spoken about is gearing, because our two bikes are pretty different in this regard. I've got a 2x setup with road gears, whereas Alex has a 1x setup with sort of gravel gear ratios on it. Although I could set mine up with gravel gears on and 1x if I wanted.
So what we should discuss is how the different gearing on our bikes affects the type of climbs we can ride up and down. So these are the gears on my gravel bike. I've got a 40 tooth chainring and an 11 to 44 tooth whacking great big cassette. Now, if I was to look at the speeds that I can ride at in the 40 and the 11 tooth sprocket, at 90 RPM, I should be able to ride at a speed of around 43 kilometers an hour. Now, the setup that I've got on my bike is 12 speed, which means I've got 12 different gears to choose from. And when I'm riding off-road on gravel, that's perfectly fine for the job. This super wide range cassette has some quite significant jumps in gear ratio between each of the sprockets. But if I head onto the road and onto the smooth stuff, I do quite often find that I'm wanting for a gear which is in between two of the ones that I've got available to me. And that's generally not a problem that you'd have with road bike gearing.
Now, my bike's got road bike gearing on it that's pretty standard to what you get on road bikes. So I've got a mid-compact chain set, 5236, that's paired with an 1130 cassette. So in a gear ratio of 52 to 12 on the back, that equates to doing 90 RPM, 50k an hour. If you use the easiest gear that I typically run on my road bike, 3630, at 90 RPM, that equates to 14k an hour. Now, off-road, the road bike gears that you have as standard are probably going to be a little bit too hard when you're going on slow, steep, technical stuff. You might want to have easier gears than that, but group sets are very versatile. You can fit much bigger cassettes on here, and you can fit slightly smaller chain rings too. You go down to a 34, for example. Personally, I'm just not a fan of one-by drivetrains, even on gravel bikes. And that's because I just find that they're just not versatile enough for a bike that's supposed to be really versatile. So when you're riding down descents on the road and sometimes on gravel that are really fast, often you're spinning out because your biggest chainring isn't big enough. So with all that in mind, should you simply buy some higher volume knobbly tyres for your road bike, or splash the cash, go all out and buy another bike, a gravel bike, to go alongside your road bike?
Well, it all kind of boils down to the type of terrain that you plan on riding on and how fussed you are about trying to ride really fast. And I guess a road bike with gravel bike tyres does seem like a viable alternative to a gravel bike, and it gets you off-road for a fraction of the price.
But I think what you're saying about the type of riding you intend to do is key. The kind of gravel you intend to ride on, key, because if it were the gravel that we saw at the Gravel World Champs, that kind of nice Strada Bianchi, like
mild gravel.
Yeah, very tame gravel, then I would be okay riding this bike on that. I would be happy. But if it was a bit more gnarly, if it was a bit more rough with bigger stones and stuff,
yeah,
where there's a chance of stone strikes on your frame and that sort of thing, I wouldn't want to ride this, because this is a high performance road bike and I wouldn't want to damage it. And I think a lot of people would feel the same about their bikes, because gravel bikes, let's not forget, they're more rugged. They're often have more reinforcement built into the frame so that they can take that more punishment. This, I just wouldn't want to damage it.
You want to be careful with it. Okay, well, it makes sense. I mean, it is a pretty expensive bike, to be fair. So what we're saying is, if you're not that fussed about speed, but you are fussed about practicality, having a robust bike and being able to ride on a whole host of really varied terrain, then a gravel bike kind of does seem like a sensible option.
Or there's a third option though.
Yeah?
Right? What about if you can only have one bike, you get a gravel bike,
yeah,
and then put road tyres on it when you want to be on road.
So the third option is the bike, which we clearly just don't have here.
Yeah, we don't have it here, but I mean, if it's something that you'd like to, I think we should investigate this, but if it's something you want to see, then comment below and also, you know, like and subscribe, and we can do a video on that in the future.
So gravel bike with just 2 sets of wheels?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, anyway, I hope everyone's enjoyed this video, and please do let us know your thoughts on the whole road bike gravel tyre situation in the comment section down below. And well, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. We're actually both freezing cold.
I am so cold.
We're going to go get warm. Right, we're out of here. See you later.
A hot drink.
A hot toddy.
Oh.